my bookish beauties, and welcome to my month of reads for March. In the month of March, I finished 10 books. There were no books that I gave 1 star to, so yay for that. There was, however, a 2-star book, and that was Everything is Illuminated by Jonathan Safran Foer. And this book was one of those books that was kind of confusing. It jumped around in storylines, didn't really give you enough information to ground you as a reader. There was a storyline where the character Jonathan Safran Foer is trying to find out some information about his past and his ancestors. Then the alternate storyline is actually like the story that he supposedly is writing in the other storyline, but I've read books like that, like Afterworlds by Scott Westerfeld, and that one was very clear and simple to follow and easy. But this one would just do things like, there's this scene where it starts out and says, this is the scene in which this happens. It starts to happen, then it skips to right after this event happened, and the whole part is missing. Then later in the book, randomly, part of that pops up, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess that's part of what happened. And then later in the book, the rest of it pops up, and then finally at some point we get the entire scene and find out what actually took place, but it's given to us in different pieces and sections, thrown about and scattered, and it just was pointless. It made no sense, and somehow this book won all kind of awards, and I don't understand it because I really didn't like it that much. There were 3 books that I gave 3 stars to. A Midsummer Night's Dream by Shakespeare. This is a book that I read for the 2015 Reading Challenge, which was a play. I've heard a lot of people say that this is the best Shakespeare. I think this is one where I have to watch the movie because trying to read a play or actually listen to it on audiobook, which I thought was going to help because there were characters and it was dramatized, it just was a little bit confusing and I find the language difficult and Shakespeare's hard for me. I mean, Romeo and Juliet's pretty simple. It's been done and redone, but Midsummer Night's Dream was a little bit challenging, but I'm not ready to give up yet. I am going to watch a movie or something that will help me maybe kind of understand the whole story better. Then there was The Complete Persepolis, which is another book for the 2015 Reading Challenge, which was a graphic novel. This is actually a non-fiction story. It's sort of a coming-of-age story, but it takes place in kind of a war zone. So it's somewhat of a different perspective of the coming-of-age story. And I don't know, the reason I only gave it 3 stars was because of the format. I mean, I enjoyed the format, I liked the artwork, but the artwork wasn't really anything exceptional or amazing, but because there was so much art, wasn't a lot of the story, didn't really go in depth, there wasn't a lot of detail, it was sort of short little snippets. I don't know, I tried to read manga before and I really wasn't a fan. I'm not really sold on the graphic novel thing yet at this point. I'll probably try something else, maybe a graphic novel version of a book I've already read so I can kind of compare and see. I don't know, I mean, I liked it, but then there was Since You've Been Gone. This one is probably more like 3.5 stars. So the basic premise is there's this girl and her best friend has disappeared for the summer. She sends her a letter with a list of all these things for her to do. Things like go skinny dipping, kiss a stranger, pick apples at midnight. Some of them are more difficult than others, and she sets out to complete the list. And it was somewhat interesting, but I think my biggest problem with this book was just that it was kind of slow. It wasn't really like a major conflict. I mean, I guess the main plot arc was like her trying to get her friend back, but she wasn't really trying to get her friend back. She was trying to complete this list because she sort of thought if she completed the list, it would lead her to this friend. But things, I don't know. It was one of those books where things seemed to go a little bit too easy for the character, and it just didn't make the most interesting story. I think it could have been a lot more interesting. I don't know. This is my second Morgan Matson book, and the first one I also gave 3 stars to, so I know that her book that's supposedly the most popular one, something like, I forget what it's called, but it involves a road trip. So I'll probably read that one because it is her most popular one, but I don't know that I'll really read a lot more by this author because while the books are enjoyable, they're just not something that I really, really like. And now for the 4-star books. I've been trying for a while to get my daughter into reading, and unfortunately, it has not gone so well, which is, you know, kind of a little bit heartbreaking for me. So, yeah. I do make her read because she has to read for school and she needs to work on her reading comprehension and all of that, and I want her to be a good reader even if she doesn't enjoy it. So we're sort of at the point where I'm forcing her to read, but trying to help her find books that she enjoys so that at least they're somewhat enjoyable. She just, would rather, play Minecraft. I haven't given up hope yet. The book club book of the month for my local book club was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I got it on audiobook. And one day in the car, I just sort of put it on without really saying anything, and by the time we got to Grandma's house, when I was dropping her off, she said, "You're not gonna listen to it without me, are you?" And we listened to the rest of it on audiobook. We just finished Matilda yesterday, and it turns out she really likes audiobooks, so yay for that. We really liked Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, gave it 4 stars. We watched the old movie and the new movie, and we compared them, and it turns out that the new movie is much more accurate, though made it feel a lot weirder in the movie. Really didn't like the direction that it went. While the book is weirder and maybe a little bit darker than the older movie, it's not quite that weird as in the movie, and they added this whole extra storyline with the father and the teeth thing that made it really even creepier, and all 3 of the endings are different. It was weird, but it was a good opportunity to look at a movie and compare it to 2 movies and figure out what was the same, what was different. I think in the older movie, maybe 50% of it was accurate. And maybe that's why they actually called it something else. They called it Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory instead of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Then there was Kiss of Deception by Mary Pearson. This book came recommended to me by Sarah Ella. She really enjoyed this book and wanted me to read it. She wanted to see if I would be able to figure out who was who. From the beginning, I told her, well, the author's making it look this one way, so I'm guessing that it's actually the other way. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but it was a really good book. I think this one, the thing that kept it from being 5 stars is it moved kind of slowly. There wasn't really a lot of action. It reminded me a little bit too much of Graceling, which I just really, I don't know. I know some people love Graceling. I think I gave that book 3 stars. I don't know, something about it. I just wasn't feeling it. And the same thing with this book. I did really enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. I will read the next one in the series when it comes out. I just wanted a little bit more. I think maybe if it would have been condensed a little bit, it was kind of long, and some of the scenes were a little bit drawn out, so I think it could have had a stronger impact if it would have been more concise. Also recommended to me by Sarah Ella, who absolutely adores Warner. If you've watched any of her videos, she mentions him almost everyone where she can. So I had to read this series, if for nothing else than to understand where she was coming from with her extreme Warner love. I read Shatter Me and Unravel Me, which are the first 2 books in the series. I did give them both 4 stars. They were solid 4 stars. I did really like them. I'm super picky with my 5 stars, so they just didn't have the extra oomph that it would have taken to bump them up to 5 stars, but it's a really interesting world. The main character, Juliet, has this sort of rogue-like power almost where her touch is deadly, and she's got super strength, and as you can imagine, there are a lot of problems that come with that. She has grown up in horrible conditions with these terrible parents. She ends up in an asylum, and then she's sort of kidnapped from that asylum. The first 2 books did not really have me loving Warner like Sarah did. We've gone back and forth a lot over text message discussing the different elements of Warner-ness. Haven't finished the series yet, so we'll see by the end if she can convince me. I don't know. Right now, I'm still Team Adam. And there were 2 books that I gave 5 stars to this month. I have also done separate videos for them to go a little bit more in depth, but they were Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard and Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. Red Queen was the amazing beginning of this series that I almost kind of wish that I had waited till it came out, because waiting for the next book, which I think is scheduled for a year from now, is like torture. I already want to read it, and yeah, I can't because who knows, maybe she hasn't even written it yet, I don't know. But oh my gosh, this book was amazing. This world is so cool. It's sort of like Mockingjay meets X-Men is how I've been describing it. There is the world of red and the world of silver. That's actually the color of their blood, and that is the thing that separates the classes. The silver are like the royalty, while the reds are sort of the servants. The silvers have special powers, and that's where the X-Men-ness sort of comes in. They can do things like telekinesis, moving things with their minds, or bend metal, or create electricity, or flame, and all these sort of things. Then there's Mare, who is a red, but discovers that she has a power of her own when it's believed that no reds have any powers. So, some things happened because of that. I'll go into more detail in my video, but let's just say that by the end of the book, there were so many plot twists that I was like, what is happening? What is going on? I have never felt so betrayed in my life by a character. I wanted to scream and just say, it's not so. I am hoping that in the next book or somewhere in this series, the thing which happened isn't really the case, and that somehow this character did this for a reason and made it seem that things were a certain way. They weren't, because I'm gonna wait for the next book to come out. And Before I Fall was just as amazing. This one is sort of Mean Girls meets Groundhog Day, and I absolutely love the movie Groundhog Day. I think it's one of those movies where you love it or hate it, and I love it. Sam, the main character, ends up living this day 7 times over and over again until she can kind of get things right. And Sam and her friends are kind of the mean girls in their school, so they have a lot of opportunities to correct the things that they do wrong. And it makes for a really interesting book. Even though days are kind of repeating, it's not written in a way that feels at all repetitive. Everything feels new and fresh and different because so much changes from day to day. It was really interesting to see how one little decision here ended up changing something majorly over here. It was just really good. I would love to see this made into a movie. I think it would be awesome because, again, Groundhog Day. So that's it. Those were my 10 books for March. Let me know down below what books rocked your world this month. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.